We live in a society that is obsessed with growth, achieving more money, more output, more. But what if we are getting all of this wrong? Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be using the 4 life pillars to explain why I think we are doing it wrong and what can we do about it. Because this is not the reason why I want to be more productive. I find most productivity videos here on YouTube talking about ways to be more productive, but I think I haven't found any of them talking on why we want to be more productive. And for me, this is even more important because in my opinion, it's not to get more done, it's to get the same amount of things done faster so we can have a more balanced life. Because I don't believe that just work is the key to happiness. Because of course, if we like our job, we may find fulfillment and luckily some financial support. But that is not everything that there is in life, right? Because it is said that there is 4 main pillars in life and that we should pay attention to each of them so our life can be complete and balanced. The first one is health, and things like fitness, learning, habits, or meditation can totally fit here. Next one is wealth. So this is mainly working and investing. The third pillar is love. This involves our partner, our parents and family, and friends. And finally, happiness. This includes hobbies, travel, exploration, board games. But pure productivity is just focusing on one of these pillars, which is the wealth pillar. But what about the other 3? So if we start thinking about productivity as a way to start investing less time into our wealth pillar so we can have more time to spare in the rest of the pillars, I think we will live so much happier and fulfilled. So let me share with you a little bit of background on how my life was when I first started my Notion business, where I want my life to go, and how I'm going to get there. Because again, the ultimate purpose is to have a balanced life. So let's separate the 4 pillars plus a category for others, which don't really apply to any of the pillars. So whenever I started my business, in the health pillar, I was spending around 14 hours cooking and eating and around 3 hours in fitness, which for me is not enough. Then in the wealth pillar, I was working for 6 days a week, 10 hours per day, which means that I was working for 60 hours per week. Then in the love pillar, the remaining day, which was Sunday, I spent fully with my partner. So this is 16 hours of awake time that I spend with her. And normally I will have one Zoom call with my family and friends. So this is another hour there. Our happiness, I was spending 0 hours. I didn't travel, I didn't have any hobbies. So 0 in this area. And then for others, I was spending around 5 hours doing errands, 5 hours housekeeping and hygiene, and 9 hours just being lazy. And taking into account that we sleep for 8 hours every night, these are the sum of the 112 hours that we have every week. So now, which is my desired situation? Well, I kind of enjoy cooking, so I'm gonna spend the same 14 hours here, but I want to increase my fitness to 5 hours. Then I'm gonna jump to the love category, and I want to still having one full day for my partner, so this is 16 hours, but I want to really spend more time with friends and family, so I'm gonna increase it to 6 hours. And then, of course, I so much want to have hobbies. I wanna spend at least 10 hours per week in hobbies that are not pursuing any financial gain, and at least 1 day per week, which means 16 hours traveling or exploring the surroundings. Then, for the others category, I want to reduce the time that I spend doing errands, so probably I'm going to outsource that. And this we can do by, instead of going to the supermarket, ordering things so they bring it home and so on. I also want to minimize my housekeeping as much as possible because it's something that I don't enjoy, so this is another thing to outsource to a girl that cleans our house. And I still want to keep 9 hours of being lazy. So, as you may have noticed, I have been able to do all of this by just reducing the number of hours that I work every week, which is now 30 hours per week. That for me, this means working for 4 days per week, 7.5 hours. So here's a couple of things that we are going to need in order to go from the current business situation to the desired situation. And those are a productivity system and leverage. Let me explain. So for the productivity system, we need a system that satisfies 2 premises. The first one is that it allows us to always have our goals in mind. And this is something that I found quite difficult with regular task management apps such as Todoist or TickTick. And why we want this? Because it is so easy to fall for the shiny object syndrome and start doing all the things that are not related to our goals because they just look sexier. So having a system that forces us to always be looking at the goals that we said that we wanted to achieve is a must if we want to maximize the output of the time that we invest in our work. In fact, this is the main reason why I'm now able to live here in Bali, running this Notion business. And as I said, so far I have just been able to make this work with Notion because I think it's the most flexible app on the market, where I have built this system that contains my pillars, my goals, outcomes, and tasks, and everything is linked. And through some workflows that I explain in other videos and inside of my course, I'm able to always push me to be working always towards my goals. And then the second thing that we need our system to have is flexibility. Maybe this sounds kind of weird because when we are speaking about systems, normally they're like very organized, very structured. So how can a system be flexible, right? It's like the antithesis. But what this means is that if our life circumstances change, we're able to make changes to our system to adapt to those changes. And how are we going to do this in Notion? By creating micro workflows. So for example, if we need to change the goals that we set up in the past, we can create a workflow just for changing goals. If we feel that we want to add something to our monthly review, we can add just a reminder, and whenever we do a monthly review, we can do the thing. So thanks to Notion and thanks to some workflows that we can create, we can have that flexibility. And that system is going to allow us to always be centered in tasks that pursue our goals. But this is not the only thing that we need in order to get to this final picture that I just described before. We also need leverage. Okay, maybe the topic of leverage is a little bit complex, but let me explain it in a nutshell. Whenever we don't have leverage, the ratio between inputs and outputs is always 1. What we put in is the same that we are going to get out. So for example, if I respond to one customer's email where he's asking me something, my answer is just going to serve to that person. But then if we do have leverage, is whenever the ratio between inputs and outputs is greater than 1. So this means that for the same input, we can have a disproportionate output. So in this same example, if instead of answering that customer email, I had a perfect, amazing FAQ, frequently asked questions page in my landing page, I would just have to write it once and it's going to serve to much more people. So as you can see, the ratio between the input, which is writing the FAQ, and the output, which is serving to the thousands of visitors or millions of visitors, of course, that I have in my landing page of the course, half. If you're more interested in diving deeper into leverage, which I highly recommend it to you, in fact, I'm doing a leverage course right now, I would recommend you to take a look at this book over here, The Almanac of Naval Ravikant, because he gives you so many more examples and much better explained than me. Okay, so mixing these two together, our productivity system and leverage, so we can get the best out of our time, we will be able to make that transition to spend more times in the other pillars of our life that demand it and have a much more balanced life. But hey, of course, it's not as easy as it sounds. In fact, I'm in this same process right now. But I believe that if we apply these two over time, we'll be able to live a really productive life, which means not more output, but the same output with less time worked. So this is the good kind of productive. I hope this video at least make you change a little bit the idea that you have of productivity and helps you focus also in the other pillars of your life, not just work. If that was the case, I will consider this video a win. So that is it for this video, guys, and as always, hasta la próxima.